Okay, let us begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and greetings to everyone. Welcome to the Mullah Asghar Ali Library and Resource Center, popularly known as MARC, for our program Conversations with Authors. My name is Shabir Jaffer and I'm one of the directors here. Every month, we invite an author or an academic, a scholar from the Muslim community to join us, to talk about their work and answer some questions. If you'd like to know more about what we do here at MARC, please visit our website at marcresource.org. marcresource.org. You can also sign up to receive news of our future events, as well as to access videos of my past interviews and with academics and authors. There are about 13 of them online, and all you have to do is to go to that website, marcresource.org, click on MARC TV, and you will see a list of the Conversation with Authors coming up. In a moment, I'll introduce you to our author for today's program. I have some questions for him, and after that, I will turn it over to you, the audience. And so if you'd like to ask him some questions or comment on his work. So now, let's meet today's author. And I should tell you, he is not an author or an academic in the strict sense of the word, but he is nevertheless a remarkable individual with an interesting message for all of us. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce you all to Murtaza Merali Dewji of Northwood, England. Murtaza was born and raised in Mombasa, Kenya. At the age of 14, his life underwent a significant change when he was diagnosed with a medical condition called spastic paraplegia. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Murtaza. In a short period, he went from being able to swim, play tennis, and golf every day to having to use a walking stick and crutches, and then finally a wheelchair to move around with. In 2001, Murtaza earned a place at the University of Westminster in London to study for a BSc degree in computing. He graduated with honors in the summer of 2004 and also received a Best Effort for International Student Award. Murtaza received his degree certificate at a graduation ceremony in front of his proud parents. He also obtained his UK driving license during his time as a student. And I would tell you, for those of you not familiar with the UK driving test, it is no mean feat. It is a pretty stringent test. So well done. Murtaza has been an active campaigner for the rights of people with disabilities for many years. In 2003, his face appeared on posters in London as part of an advertising campaign to increase awareness of the needs of disabled people like him. In spite of the mobility challenges that he faces, Murtaza believes nothing can stop him from achieving his dreams. His personal slogan is, "Disability is not an inability." I repeat, disability is not an inability. He's written books on the subject of disability, including Ability Through Disability Parts 1 and 2, and that's going to be the subject of our conversation today. And his campaigning has taken him around the world. He has spoken on radio shows and made presentations to a variety of audiences. He now lives in the UK and works as an administrative assistant in a nursing home. So let's bring him in now. Murtaza, assalamu alaikum, and thanks for joining us today. You're on mute, so we need to unmute you. Okay, there you go. Okay, I'll start again. Murtaza, assalamu alaikum, and thanks for joining us today.
Alaikum salam. It's a wonderful experience to me, inshallah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to start off with my questions right away, so in the interest of time, and that way we can get the audience in. Trust you're ready to go, so let's go. Early on in part 1 of your book, you credit your mother for providing you with the understanding of the strangeness of this world and being a source of safety and support to you. You know, Murtaza, all mothers are special, particularly for their offspring. Why was it important for you to recognize her in your book?
I recognized my mother in my book because she was and always will be my biggest inspiration. In spite of all the challenges that she's facing, she had never left it. She had never let it shake her faith in Allah. As a parent myself, I recognize that whatever difficulties I am facing, she is facing them also.
Yeah.
Because as a mother, she's naturally protected for her children. And in spite of this emotion, she has always encouraged me and supported me through every stage. She stood by my side like a rock with unfailing love and support.
That's fantastic. No wonder you recognize her. Soon after that, in the book, you recognize or you express your indebtedness to your parents for their service and dedication to your well-being and comfort. And you then refer to the lessons that they taught you, which you remember often, especially as you are now a parent yourself. What are some of the more important lessons that they taught you?
The lesson my parents taught me is that this world will have people who have faith in Allah, and to learn to face difficulties and conquer them. As parents, they have also ensured that I'm safe and supported, but to the extent that it doesn't lose any inspiration. They also taught me to defend myself and always encourage me to be straight on the right side.
Mm-hmm. And so can you tell us a little bit more about the advice your mother gave you about the need to contribute to our community in terms of volunteering time and things like that? Why do you think it was important to her? And why do you think you took that so much to heart?
I have watched my mother always contributing to the community in Mombasa, and also how busy she was. But despite all of this, despite all of the own responsibilities, I have watched her go out of her way to ensure that all the needs of the community are satisfied, which gives her some satisfaction. She also advised me that a true and lasting satisfaction and commitment of the soul is to help others. Everyone else is transitory.
Yeah. Remarkable. She sounds like a remarkable person indeed, and so does your dad. So I'm so happy for you that you have them by your, you had them to support you through life. So now let's move on to the time when you were diagnosed with the illness that changed your life. This happened when you were a teenager. You wrote how after the diagnosis, some of your friends and relatives asked questions that made you feel like the odd one out. Questions like, why are you like this? It must be a sin. Could it be a jinn? Are you sure it's not just in your mind? I mean, when I read this in your book, my reaction, to be honest, was sheer incredulity. What was it like to know that people, not all people, but some people were thinking that way?
I thought about it, and then I thought to myself that with a different ability, people will always talk anything and everything, and I should concentrate on my own goals and aspirations, as I have learned not to waste any time and energy in idle talk. True recognition in only from Allah.
Okay, so you basically, you didn't let that bother you too much. You got on with your life.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. It's still remarkable what they did.
I told to myself, "Sonna sabka karna man ka."
Yeah. Okay. Going back again to when you were a boy or when you were young, I believe you're probably around 18 in 2002 when you were admitted to the University of Westminster, where you studied computing. You left your beloved Mombasa, Kenya, and overnight, London, UK became changed from being a dreary place to a land of possibility. Tell us about your feelings as you began this new chapter in your life.
When I left paradise at Kenya, I would call, but I left my safety net that my parents had provided to me.
Yeah.
I was scared at first, but then I felt it was an opportunity for me to achieve my own dreams and hope to grow as a person.
Right. And so the strangeness of the land and the strangeness of the ways, I believe you stayed with your sister and her husband to start with, and they must have helped the whole process, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. And that was in good old Northwood Hills. Good.
Yes.
So later on, you started volunteering for the charity Scope. What was that like, and why was it so close to your heart? Perhaps you could tell us what Scope is, or who Scope is to start with, and then tell us why you enjoyed that experience so much.
Firstly, Scope is a charity for all the different ability people to gain knowledge and how to move forward in their life.
Yes.
The reason I enjoyed it was really close to my heart, as it gave me a new understanding of the satisfaction one gets by giving time and energy to help others without expecting any reward and except from Allah. Also helping others, I get so inspired that I forget my own challenges and I face in my own life.
Yeah.
I was able to use my own experiences to advocate for others who had disabilities and to help educate the general population about our struggles.
Right. Is it through your involvement with Scope that you picked to be one of the faces of that advertising campaign?
Yes.
I see. Okay. All right. And do you still work for them? Do you still do some volunteering for them? No?
No.
Okay. So one cold, wintry day, when you were heading back from your campus in London to go home to Northwood, you fell down on the icy road. And that got you really worried. But nevertheless, you started using a pair of funky colored crutches to help you balance and walk. And you persevered. You kept going. You went back to university the very next day and continued classes. And so where do you get this doggedness and this positivity from?
Learn from my different challenges, the best to keep my situation. I always think about myself. That means, and I have such a positive attitude, and I'm hoping for a positive mental attitude to help cure any, which is half the cure to any disease.
That's terrific to have that attitude. I mean, there are people without disabilities who do not demonstrate that kind of positivity at all. So they have much to learn from you. I enjoyed reading the chapter about your university graduation. It would seem that rather than resting on your laurels, you were triggered to encourage and inspire others with disabilities. An example is how you became a Sunday madrasa teacher and you taught Quran to others, including those with disabilities. Would you agree with that? That was almost like a launch platform for you to start doing that kind of work? Yeah.
Everyone with any kind, any different ability always faces a greater challenge than
Yes.
those without disabilities. I felt it was so important for me to share my experience with others,
Yes.
to help inspire them. Alhamdulillah, Allah, with His gracious need, I was given the strength and opportunity to teach children in the madrasa and to teach Quran.
All right. So you found that rewarding, that experience rewarding, and how long did you do that for?
I started in 2002. I've not finished yet.
Okay.
I still teach every Sunday.
Yeah. So now some of the kids that you taught then, they must be grown up now, and you must be meeting them as adults in the mosque.
Yes.
Yeah, and they remember your efforts.
And I really enjoy listening to them recite Quran.
Oh, you do? Okay. Oh, yeah. It's it must be very gratifying to hear them do that. Okay, yeah. So now a bit of levity, a bit of lightheartedness, just to add a little humor to the whole thing. There was a time when after you passed your test, you had this little Mini Cooper that you used to run around in, and you used to go with your friends to different places. And one day, you guys decided to go to Leicester for a meal, but you ended up telling the grown-ups in your family that you were at Leicester Square. So now this is all in the book, so I'm not revealing anything new here. Tell us, which restaurants do you recommend in Leicester, not Leicester Square?
I recommend the Hotel Mosques.
Okay.
And
Hotel.
Also,
okay.
There are other hotels that are good, like
Yes.
Taurus, Crescent Grill, Jungle, Paprika.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm making a note, by the way.
Okay.
Okay. I hope to go to Leicester one day. In the last chapter of your book, of part 1, you expressed what you've been able to accomplish in life, despite living with a disability for the last 20 years. You wrote about wanting to give hope to people with disabilities and how important it is to remember the positives in life. And I quote, that's a quote directly from your book. But I think probably the biggest impact you have made in this world, Murtaza, is the effort you have put in to fighting for accessibility and equality for the disabled. Tell us about a couple of those battles, if you would, please.
As mentioned earlier, Scope is one of the charities that helped me do this. I actually became a model featuring on the bus and tube ads. This campaign brought awareness to the struggle people with disabilities were taking public transport. This helped advocate for changes in the transport system to better accommodate those with disabilities.
Okay.
There are particularly 2 other efforts that with great wins for the disabled community with our own Khoja community. Originally, Stanmore Mosque did not have any wheelchair access, and I worked with the executive committee to help educate the committee about my struggles being in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And made sure the center was accessible for people with wheelchair physical disabilities.
Right.
And the second one, the third one is, as I'm a sportsman, I got to know that Stanmore Jaffrey and work with the organizers and members to help facilitate table tennis sessions for those with different abilities. And the group was immensely supportive and gave me the opportunity to spread the joy of table tennis sessions for different abilities every Saturday now. And it was just before Moram. I was elected to be in the, one of the table tennis shows.
Yeah, right. I saw a video of you playing table tennis. You were in your chair, and the gentleman who was playing against you was helping you. I mean, he was on the other side of the table, and you looked like you were having a great time. It's quite fortuitous that we talk about you and your interest and participation in sport, especially at a time when the Paralympics are on in Tokyo, Japan. I happened to be watching a short video of a young Indian girl who has only one arm, and she is now in the badminton championships or the badminton competition at the Paralympics. So it just shows, and she has a similar approach and attitude to you. If you want to check it out on YouTube, her name is Palak Kohli, and you've probably seen it. But very, very similar and comparable experiences by both of you. So going back to what you did with Stanmore Jamaat, so you said initially there was very little access or no access for disabled, for people in wheelchairs to the mosque at Stanmore, and you campaigned to have that done. Have you seen any other, and has that been reapplied to any other of our centers in the world that you've been asked for advice on or anything like that?
The Essex Jamaat.
Yes.
Essex Jamaat have just made a new mosque with disabled access.
Yes.
And all the toilets, everything.
Yeah.
That's one mosque I have found out that it is completely disabled.
Yeah. What about our mosques in other parts of the world, like East Africa and North America? Do you know much about what they offer and whether they are now up to speed with offering these facilities?
Not sure. Yeah. Because the only thing I can say is my trip to Karbala, and everything was disabled friendly.
Right. Yes. Excellent. So Karbala was on, presumably Najaf too. I wonder if maybe Zainab Zari in Syria is also kitted out properly. So anyway, we will find out. But that's great. It's great that you've had this impact, and I think it kind of sums up what I said earlier. That the biggest impact you have made, or one of the biggest impacts you've made in this world, is your fight for accessibility. Well done indeed. Okay, it's now coming up to 25 past. I'm pretty well done with my questions. I'm going to see if the audience, our listeners, have any questions for you, and we'll take it from there. So far, no questions from our audience. If anybody listening does have a question, you can text it using the chat function on Zoom, or you can use the little hand icon to put your hand up, and we will unmute you so you can ask. So please don't feel shy. If you have something to ask Murtaza, then this is the time. I'll just ask my AV team if they're seeing anything. AV, are you seeing any questions come through that I'm not party to?
Not on the back end, no.
Nothing here? Okay. We'll give it a couple of more minutes, Murtaza.
There is a comment that just came in on the chat.
Yeah, I just saw that. It's from Shani Abbas Laka, and it says, "Thank you, Murtaza, for standing up for others and giving great service to humanity." Thank you for that comment, Shani Abbas Laka.
We have someone who just raised their hand. Sister Sabika, if you'd like to unmute.
Go ahead, sister. And welcome back.
Alaikum.
Welcome back. Alaikum salam.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Murtaza, for that insight into the work that you do. I'm personally extremely interested and would look forward to reading your book, because I do work a lot in terms of the disability community where I live here in Qatar. I just want to seek your insight as a person with a disability in terms of the language that is used around disabilities. There seems to be all these fancy terms that come up, such as specially abled or differently abled or special needs, etc. It seems that for some, they get very worked up when such terms are used, whereas others say that we have to use the terms disability or disabled because we need to make sure that it doesn't have that negative connotations. Do you have any thoughts on the sort of language? Thank you.
With the different language, to me, it's like differently abled people with disabilities should focus on their strengths and use them to their advantage. Sometimes it gets stuck on that and we cannot do it. But that we completely forget about what we are capable of. So people with disabilities should focus on their strengths and what they can do as their advantage.
Subika, do you have a follow-up?
No, thank you very much. I just it's good to know in terms of how some people are more focused on the actual results as opposed to getting stuck at things like language and whatnot. But thank you very much.
Okay. There's a question from Brother Raza Hirji. Murtaza, it says, please let us know what your future projects are to inspire others. Very happy to hear you today. You are a great role model for all. So what are your future projects? What have you got in mind?
In mind, I've got to become an advocate for a larger part of the UK community, like climb up the stairs, hopefully, inshallah, with my public talking.
By UK community, did you mean our community in the UK or the general population?
The public.
General population. Yeah. All right. Razabai, if you had any follow-up, please go ahead. If not, we'll take the next question if there is one. Okay. All right, here's another one from Sabika. Sister Sabika Shivan, do you feel in our community that more people are more comfortable or tolerant about accommodating people with disabilities?
In my personal view, after having from Kenya, because in Kenya it was not as much availability, but since being here for more than 18 years, it looks like it's progressing to the better. The awareness That's why when I advocate, now more people understand what I mean when I'm after my poster.
All right. Had a couple of other comments come through. Firstly, back from Raza Hirji. Inshallah, I will get a chance to read your book and share it with others. From Muhammad Kara, a very good program which opens our minds to encourage those who face physical difficulties and welcome as equal human beings. If you have any thoughts on those comments, Murtaza, it's up to you, your call. If not, we'll wait for the next question. But thank you to both those gentlemen who provided the comments and feedback.
There's so much one can achieve in life. I want others with disabilities, whether physical or mental, to know that they're not alone. They can still have a fulfilling life.
Okay. What advice would you give, Murtaza, to people who do have disabilities, whether temporary or permanent, and as a result of those disabilities, find themselves somewhat isolated, alone, not able to socialize because of the physical issues, not able to, get company and meet up with people, etc. So what advice would you give them, if any?
I would start with having the right attitude and mindset, so you can accomplish anything you want to and set in your mind.
Yeah. For those very same people, are there any networks, for example, within our community, which somebody can access in order to meet and talk to and get the company of people in a similar situation? They may not be aware of such networks or such groups. And are there any things like that, for example, in your Jamaat or in London or anywhere for that matter, that somebody can access? Are you aware of any?
I think I'm aware of the TED Talks. The
Yes.
TED Talks, and you get to know everyone, their differences, and the more you talk to people, and naturally you become like you get more information about this.
But if you'll forgive me, a TED Talk is more one way. It's somebody addressing. Are there any forums, chat groups, other kind of associations for people with either temporary or permanent disabilities where they can get together and interact with others in the same position?
Because I was part of the group I've gotten in with Sister Fazana Karawali had
Yes.
a support group.
Yep.
To any different abilities
Yes.
to be looked into.
Yes. Fazana Karawali, you said?
Yes.
Okay. And where is she based?
In the UK.
In the UK. Okay. And you think she may have some support groups? Okay. Yes. All right. That's good to know. All right. There's a couple of comments coming in. Oh, actually, it's just Assalamu alaikum from a lady. Ali, are you seeing any other messages? Avi, are you seeing any messages from here?
No, I am not.
No?
We
Okay.
did have a couple of people join again, so.
Yes. So I'll just say alaikum salam to the lady who just said salam alaikum. All right. I'm not seeing any other messages, so we may be close to the end here. I'll just give it another 30 seconds. If anybody has anything they want to answer or ask, please do so. And if not, I'll start to wrap up and tell you about our speaker for next month. from Farouk Topan. Thank you very much, Murtaza, for your talk. What was your experience of transitioning from university to getting employed?
Well, it all started after I went to school for 9 months for volunteering. That gave me experience. And then I got a job with Merchant Financial Services. I was there for 4 years and I changed the job, and now with what we call the nursing home. I've been there for 11 years now. But alhamdulillah, it's fine.
Murtaza, in terms of university, where your time is essentially your own, when you then started working for Merchant Financial, now your time is dictated by the company that you work for.
Yes.
I think what we're Farouk Bhai, if I'm not mistaken, is trying to get at is, what was that transition like for you to go from being in control of your time, being the master of your time, to now being at the beck and call of your employer?
I'm just thinking about that. But as my work, I'm very flexible.
Yes.
And I take the day that comes, but I need to, obviously now being a parent, I need to sort out my routine and stay positive.
Yes.
In whatever I can do, because I continue my sporting and also going swimming weekly, and also going to play table tennis.
Okay.
I try to put everything in one place.
Right. Okay. Question from somebody in Toronto. Assalamu alaikum, Murtaza. Ghulam uncle from Toronto. Have you heard of Nick Vujicic? Ever heard of that person?
No.
No? Oh, nor have I. Nasim Bhai or Ghulam Bhai, if you want to follow up on that, go ahead now. If not, we'll move on. Okay, I'm not seeing any other comments. Why don't I start then to wrap up? I do want to first of all thank Murtaza for his time and for sharing his experience with us, and for writing the book to tell us about the challenges you faced and how you overcame them. I repeat, you are indeed a remarkable individual and a role model to everyone in our community and beyond. So thank you for doing that, for your time, and for sharing your experience with us. Terrific. I do want to say thank you to our audience as well for tuning in and listening and asking the questions. Hopefully you got as much out of it as we did. And now what I'd like to do is to preview our next session, which will be taking place on September the 25th. On that day, I'll be talking to a gentleman by the name of Professor Hussein Kamali, who wrote a book, a very interesting book called A History of Islam in 21 Women. Now that's an intriguing title, A History of Islam in 21 Women. And essentially this author takes 21 females from Islamic history and does a short profile on each of them, starting off, of course, with Bibi Khadija, alayhi salam, and Bibi Fatima, alayhi salam. We then move on to Aisha, and then some other female from Islamic history through the centuries. There are lawyers, there are queens, there are princesses, there's even an architect. And this is a tremendous book, which I hope you'll all tune in to hear. One of the comments was, here in all their gutsy glory are women whose voices have not received the prominence that is their due within the story of Islam. A history of Islam in 21 women is an act of reclamation. That's from the New York Times. Another comment is, has special resonance at a time in which Muslim women are often caricatured as powerless and dependent. It is also part of resurrecting a history that has been so repeatedly bludgeoned, exploited, and buried. And finally, a solid starting reference for those interested in women in Islamic studies, accessible and well suited for both high school and college. Now, I would say that it's not just for women. I've read it. I know many other people who have read it, and it's for all Muslims. And you know, at a time when there is so little talked about the lives of Muslim women from our members, this book provides a refreshing alternative to finding out more. So I'll be talking to Professor Hussein Kamali. He is currently Chair of Islamic Studies at Hartford Seminary. I believe he took over from Sayyid Amar Naqshwani in that capacity. Interesting book, interesting man, and I look forward to talking to him and to all of you on Saturday, September the 25th at the same time. And so for now, I'll leave it at that. I'd say thanks again. I hope you all have a safe weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you soon. Khuda Hafiz, and thank you.